Hello everyone, today I'd like to present a summary of another anime series called One Piece for you to watch. The story begins with a man who is the pirate king named Gold Roger, who is taken to be publicly executed. Gold Roger might have been a kind-hearted pirate because on the day of his execution, some people stood and watched, crying and mourning him greatly. Before dying, Gold Roger publicly announced that all his treasure, which he called One Piece, he had hidden in one place, but he didn't say where he hid it. If anyone finds that One Piece treasure, it's theirs. From that moment on, pirate crews from all over the world set sail to search for the One Piece in every direction. Over 10 years later, the story introduces us to our main character, named Monkey D. Luffy. At that time, he was about 6 years old, but he wanted to be a pirate. His idol was the red-haired pirate captain named Shanks. But because Luffy was too young at the time, Shanks couldn't take him along. On that day, another group of mountain bandits, who looked very fierce, kicked down the door of the bar and told the owner, Makino, that they needed 10 barrels of sake. But Makino told them there was no more sake to sell. The kind-hearted Shanks then offered the bandits a bottle of sake he hadn't opened yet, but the bandits smashed the bottle and accused Shanks of looking down on him. Despite this, Shanks was a patient man and didn't hold a grudge against the bandit. Instead, he went to pick up the broken bottle pieces so no one would get cut. Then, the bandit pulled out his sword and slashed the plates on the table for Shanks to clean up before leaving with his crew. Seeing this, Luffy was very angry on Shanks' behalf, but Shanks and his crew just laughed it off. Their behavior made Luffy even angrier, and he stood up and shouted at Shanks, calling him a coward. But Shanks explained to him that some people aren't worth fighting with. At that moment, because he was angry with Shanks, Luffy took a fruit that Shanks had left on the table and ate it. Seeing this, Shanks was shocked and worried about Luffy. Because the fruit Luffy had just eaten wasn't an ordinary fruit, it's called the gum gum fruit. It makes Luffy's body stretch like rubber and he will never be able to swim for the rest of his life. Not long after, an incident occurred where Luffy was caught and bullied by the mountain bandits because he demanded that they apologize to Shanks. At that moment, Shanks arrived at the scene. This time, it was beyond a simple confrontation because usually, Shanks is very patient. Even if someone spits in his face, he won't fight them. But if anyone dares to touch his friends, they will surely not escape. In the fight, Shanks' right-hand man, named Ben Beckman, volunteered to deal with the mountain bandits. In just a moment, Ben Beckman defeated all the bandits' underlings. Their leader then threw a smoke bomb and escaped with Luffy. He took Luffy to the sea, and because he was so angry with Luffy, he threw him into the water. As he was about to get away, a giant sea monster, which they call the Sea Kings, appeared and ate the bandit. It then wanted to eat Luffy too, but Shanks came to the rescue. At that moment, Shanks seemed to have a special skill. Just by using his sharp eyes to stare at the Sea King got scared and swam away. Saving Luffy at that time cost Shanks an arm, which made Luffy feel very sorry for him. A while later, it was time for Shanks to leave Fuchsia Village to continue his adventure. At that time, Luffy proudly declared that one day he would have his own crew and become a pirate captain stronger than Shanks' crew. As a promise, Shanks entrusted his beloved straw hat to Luffy for the time being, and when Luffy becomes a great pirate captain, he wants Luffy to return the hat to him. 10 years later, Luffy began his adventure in a small boat, and many people from Fuchsia Village came to see him off. When Luffy had sailed a short distance, the Sea King, his old friend, came to visit. But this time, Luffy was no longer a child. He used his rubber fist, which he called Gum Gum Pistol, to punch the Sea King, knocking it out with one blow. Then, this story cuts to another character named Kobe. Kobe is a boy who was forced by pirates to work on their ship. One day, Kobe accidentally rolled a barrel that Luffy was sleeping inside. Luffy ended up in the barrel because his boat was swept away by a whirlpool. Later, someone found the barrel and lifted it onto their ship. And then the ship was hijacked by pirates. So now Luffy is on the pirate ship and meets Kobe. At first, Luffy didn't care where he was. The important thing was that he was hungry, so he went to find something to eat. There, Kobe told Luffy that 2 years ago, while he was fishing peacefully, a group of pirates captured him and made him a cabin boy on this ship. Luffy then asked why he didn't run away if he didn't want to work there. Kobe said he didn't dare because the captain of the ship, named Alvida, is very fierce. If she knew Kobe wanted to run, she would surely kill him. In short, Kobe is a coward and doesn't dare to do anything. When he heard Luffy say that he wants to find the One Piece treasure to become the Pirate King, Kobe knew it was very dangerous and didn't believe Luffy could do it. At that moment, Luffy punched him in the head and told him that people have to do what they want to do, not just follow fate. Luffy's words gave Kobe courage, and he decided to follow his dream of becoming a marine to catch bad people. Then, the captain named Alvida arrived. When Luffy saw her, he asked Kobe, "Who's that fat lady?" Usually, Alvida gets angry when anyone speaks so bluntly. When she heard Luffy say that, she would surely not let him get away. But Luffy's punches became longer and his strength grew. At that point, no matter how fat Alvida was, Luffy could still send her flying. After that, Luffy took Kobe to enlist as a Marine to fulfill his dream. On the way, Luffy asked Kobe about Zoro because earlier, Alvida had mistaken him for Zoro. At that point, Kobe told him that Zoro is a very strong bounty hunter who catches pirates, but for some reason he heard that Zoro was tied up in Shell's town. Not long after, they arrived there because Luffy wanted Zoro to join his pirate crew. At that point, they arrived at the place where Zoro was tied to a cross and being tortured by starvation. At the same time, a little girl also arrived at the scene. She was brave enough to climb over the wall to see Zoro and give him rice balls to eat. But at that moment, Zoro refused to eat and even chased the little girl away. Then, a blonde-haired man and 2 Marines arrived. He snatched the rice balls from the little girl, threw them on the ground, and stomped on them. Then, the man ordered a Marine to throw the little girl over the wall. Luckily, Luffy was there to save her in time. After the blonde-haired man left, Luffy sneaked in to see Zoro again. At that moment, Luffy wanted to help Zoro, but Zoro wouldn't let him. However, Zoro asked Luffy to pick up the dirty rice balls for him to eat. After that, Luffy went to tell the story to the girl who owned the rice balls, which made her very happy. The little girl's name is Rika, and she said that Zoro was captured because he was helping her. A few days ago, a wolf came into her mother's restaurant, and Rika grabbed a broom to hit it, but it turned and tried to bite her. Luckily, at that moment, Zoro hit the wolf and saved her. Actually, the wolf was the pet of the blonde-haired man named Helmeppo. On that day, Zoro not only hit the wolf but also its owner, knocking him out. And because Helmeppo is the son of the marine captain in that area, he went and tattled to his father to have Zoro tied up and starved for a month. While they were talking, Helmeppo came to harass Rika's mother's shop again. At that moment, Luffy went to check it out and heard Helmeppo say that his father would execute Zoro soon. When Luffy heard that, he punched Helmeppo and declared that today he would recruit Zoro into his crew. Then Helmeppo ran to tell his father, named Morgan, to capture and kill Luffy. Morgan is the government-appointed marine captain in that area who is very cruel. Everyone is afraid of him. At the same time, Luffy went to meet Zoro to invite him to join his crew. At that point, Luffy didn't give Zoro time to decide. He told Zoro that he would go get his swords back. Not long after, Luffy arrived at the marine base where Morgan was ordering his men to raise a statue of himself. And Helmeppo was there too. At that moment, a marine accidentally made the statue touch something, and Morgan, who was a stingy and cruel man, threatened to kill that marine. Meanwhile, Luffy, who was behind, heard the commotion from above and stretched his leg to jump up and see. When he got up, Luffy, not knowing what was going on, pulled the rope of Morgan's statue, causing it to fall and shatter. At that point, Morgan was furious, but Luffy didn't care about him. He just needed to find Helmeppo because Helmeppo was the one who took Zoro's swords. At the same time, Kobe sneaked in to untie Zoro. At that moment, Kobe told Zoro that they would kill him tomorrow. That's why Luffy risked his life to enter the marine base to get Zoro's swords back, hoping that Zoro would join his crew. By now, Morgan had brought his marines there. Without saying much, Morgan ordered his men to shoot and kill them all. Then, the story cuts to Zoro's past. When he was young, Zoro was very good at swordsmanship. He beat all the other students except for one, whom he fought 2,000 times and never won against. Her name was Kuina, the daughter of his teacher. Then, in their 2001st match, Zoro challenged Kuina to fight with real swords. In that match, Kuina still won. At that point, Zoro was very disappointed. But Kuina helped to encourage him, giving him strength again. On that day, they made a promise to each other that one day, one of them would become the greatest swordsman in the world. But not long after, Kuina had a fatal accident and passed away. At that point, Zoro asked his teacher for Kuina's sword to use, so he could become the greatest swordsman in the world as he had promised Kuina. Returning to the present, as the Marines aimed their guns to shoot at Zoro, Luffy used his body to shield him. And because Luffy's body is tough and stretchy like rubber, ordinary bullets can't harm him. After that, Luffy handed Zoro's 3 swords to him and asked if he wanted to join and fight with the pirates, which is illegal, or let the Marines kill him right now. At that point, Zoro no longer cared about what was illegal. As long as he was alive, he would have a chance to become the greatest swordsman in the world. Meaning, Zoro agreed to join Luffy's crew. Speaking of Morgan, after the bullets failed to harm Luffy, he ordered the Marines to use swords and charge in instead. But Zoro stepped in to block them. At that moment, Zoro and Luffy teamed up to deal with the Marines, forcing them to retreat. Luffy then charged in to fight Morgan fiercely. In the fight on top, Morgan, whom everyone feared, couldn't do anything to Luffy and ended up getting beaten up by him. Then Helmeppo took Kobe hostage. At that point, Kobe was also brave and told Luffy not to worry about him. When that happened, Luffy didn't care anymore and punched Helmeppo from a distance. At the same time, Morgan got up and wanted to sneak attack Luffy from behind, but Zoro rushed in to help. After defeating Morgan and his son, the marine soldiers didn't bother them. Instead, they cheered and celebrated with joy. Actually, they also didn't want to work under a cruel and brutal commander like Morgan. Afterwards, they went to eat at Rika's mother's restaurant. At that moment, Rika's mother cooked a delicious meal for them to thank them for liberating the village from the tyranny of the greedy Morgan. At that point, Rika asked Luffy where he wanted to go next after this. Luffy replied that he's going to the Grand Line. Hearing that, Kobe was worried for him. Even though he wasn't joining Luffy's crew, he was concerned about Luffy's safety because the Grand Line is the most dangerous area. They often call that place the pirate graveyard. Then, a group of Marines arrived at the scene to carry out their duty of capturing the pirate crew. But because Luffy's crew had done a great service by saving the village, they wouldn't report it to their superiors but requested that Luffy's crew leave the village quickly. Luffy understood and agreed to leave peacefully. And when they asked if Kobe was a member of Luffy's crew, Luffy started a fake fight with Kobe to show them that Kobe wasn't in his crew. The reason is that he knew Kobe wanted to be a marine, and if they knew Kobe had associated with a pirate, they wouldn't let him become one. Later, after Luffy and Zoro had left, Kobe asked them to let him become a marine, and they accepted him. After that, Kobe went to thank Luffy at the port. Zoro joked that it's unheard of for a marine to thank a pirate. This story should probably be in the history books. For this story, I will end it here for now. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it. Please like and comment a lot. And I would also like to ask those who haven't subscribed to the Monojourney channel yet to please subscribe to help support and encourage me. Thank you very much. I wish you good health and a bright future.